Okay, so a few weeks ago I did this video of this awards level website that I spent a couple months on, and I've gotten pretty nice feedbacks on the visuals and the aesthetics, and I thought maybe I could try something a little different in this video instead of just glazing through the process like how I usually do for all my other projects that I talk about on my channel. I thought maybe I could look back and just specifically focus on the areas that I spent the most time on. And I've narrowed it down to these four key areas that I spent 80% of my time on when I was doing this project, that I believe does the actual convincing, that builds trust, especially now with AI and stuff, right? Trust is like so hard to fight for. Everything is like, yeah, yeah. And if you haven't seen my stuff before, hi, my name is Jay. I run a web agency here in Singapore, and I've built and studied hundreds of different websites and landing pages in the last 2 years. So yeah, let's get to the first one. So for every project that I do, I make sure that everything is scannable. So I put up a few studies, or I just asked Claude to help me pull up a few articles and studies, and I found this article that says that on average, only 20% of the words that are on the page are gonna be read by your people, by the people that visits the site. So you want to make sure that everything is optimized to be in that 20%, right? And I mean, mathematically that doesn't make sense, but you just want to make sure the things that you want people to read, you gotta highlight it like crazy. Okay, I'm not sure what's a better way to say it, but yeah, you want to highlight it like crazy. And I would say the biggest struggle that I see clients that I spoke to, the biggest challenge is the text. So typically videos and images are pretty easy to put on, right? You just slap on it there, and usually it will get a decent amount of attention, right? But text is gonna be the difficult part, and I believe that text is still very relevant, because even though images and videos speaks thousands or 10,000 words, I'm not sure what the saying is, but videos and images does tell you a lot about what this brand or what your brand does. But you still need that text confirmation. So you just imagine if my page, it was just it's just videos or website that I've done before, projects that I've done before. You wouldn't very affirm, you might get the rough idea that, okay, maybe this guy does websites, maybe this guy builds websites and stuff like that, but you will never have that confirmation in your head, as compared to a line of text that says that I build websites for blah blah blah. You get what I mean? Like it just makes it a lot easier for them to be like, oh, okay, this guy does this, right? And I see a lot of people struggle with that in terms of knowing where to place the text, knowing how to size the text proportionately to the hierarchy of things that you want people to see, or the order of things you want people to see on the page. So the few things that I manipulate with is the size, definitely the size, and then the weight and the contrast. So for this particular project, I wanted the video to be the first thing that people see. On the hero, let's say the hero, sorry, I should have mentioned the hero, but on the hero, the video is the first thing I want people to see. So obviously I want to have it as the biggest, have it be the most contrasting thing, the thing that people ultimately see first. And most people, when they first land on the site, they will see the center first. They'll be hovering around the center, their eyes will be hovering around the center. So you see on this page, the hero section, the center is empty. It's just the video, right? So I have the video there first, and then the next biggest thing is the headline right below it. Right, so they tilt a little bit, they move their eyes a little down, and then they'll see the headline. And then that's it, right? That's kind of the whole scan, the whole 20% thing, because that's the only two things that I really want them to see. I need them to see those. So that's generally how I manipulate things. So make it bigger, make it bolder, make it more make it have more contrast, and that's how you make sure things are scannable. Yeah, for the next one is speaking like your audience. And I think this is one of the more interesting things that I found out recently, that you don't want to always dumb down your copywriting. You don't want to always dumb down your tone, right? And I think there's that general census online where people would say, the expert copywriters would say, just make sure everything is 5th grader level. Everything is readable by primary school kids, kindergarten kids, right? But when I first started using this brand, okay, I funny enough, I have this brand right here. So this is a skincare product called The Ordinary. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but what they do really well is that for every product, instead of just giving them a random name, they use the ingredients that you use in their products as the name. So for this product, it's called niacinamide. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Niacinamide 10% and zinc 1%. So that is the name of the product. And I think that's just so interesting, right? Because you want to speak like your audience. Like if your audience, they're not going to be kids, then you know that they're gonna have this level of sophistication. Like that they're gonna be educated, they're gonna be smart. You don't want to downplay everything, right? Of course, you want to make sure that some of the parts is easy to understand to most people. But what they do really well is that have that mixture of 20%. So it's the 80-20 thing, right? So 80% of The Ordinary's copywriting is pretty simple to understand. It's simple words for 5th grader level. But they added this 20% of interesting words that are related to their stuff that does two things, right? So first thing is it's gonna filter out the people that are not gonna buy their stuff, right? And second thing is they're gonna pique their interest, right? Because not a lot of people are doing this, right? So when you throw in a word like niacinamide, people that are interested in skincare, people that are interested in buying this kind of products, they want to know what they want to have on their face. They'll be like, oh shit, that's cool, right? And that's something I didn't heard about, then they want to find out more, right? So that's something that I think is not as well talked about, but I mean, definitely you want to use it with caution, obviously, right? I think it's hard to find a balance, but in this project, a lot of the headlines are simple, are pretty dead simple, and then you can slowly weave in this kind of contextual and what do you call it? Contextual vocabulary, I guess. Things that the words that are more related to what you do into your copywriting, into your content. So yeah. For the next one, for the third one, is I want to make sure that I show my audience that I care. And I think the number one way to do that is quality. And especially if you're in the service or B2B space, I can almost guarantee you, I want to be pretty confident here, that 80 to 90% of your competition have either no images or videos at all, or their videos and images are very bad quality, to a point where they might be better by just using stock images, which I don't recommend, right? I don't recommend using stock images, but it's crazy, right? And that just shows people that you care, because it's kind of like packaging. Like if you're in the product space, it's kind of like packaging. You want to show people you care. You want to show people what your stuff is about. You want to give a good first impression, have your best foot forward. And that's what your website does, right? It's your online digital packaging. And having good quality stuff on there, like videos especially, I think now with AI especially, there's really no excuse, right? I mean, I think the best case is to have a real photographer. You pay thousands of dollars for a photographer, for a full team to help you do custom photography and videography. But if you don't have that, you can spend $100 on AI, like Claude or Google AI Workspace. Just create a few images, few videos that are like 4K or like 1080p, that are like crispy quality, at the same time have good composition. That's gonna set you miles from your competition, right? And I think this is a pretty underrated stuff for some reason, even at today's time. So yeah, that's for this project. I spent a huge ton of time on the hero video. And for the last one, the fourth one, is to build a path with animations. So I mean, obviously I'm sure you've seen a lot of websites online that just has a lot of fancy animations, and I'm not gonna comment on that. I think it looks nice. It's like an artistic kind of sense, and I don't typically apply that for myself because I feel that it's more distracting. And how I typically use Motion now is to direct users on what to see first. So kind of like making it scannable. I think they are sort of connected in that sense, in a way where, like, going back to the hero analogy, right? If you see the hero section in this website, in this project, the first thing I want people to see is the hero, the video, right? The video is going to be the first thing that loads in, right? And then the second is the headline. So the headline is going to load in next, and then subheadline, and then an F bar. So it's very intentional, because even though you stagger it for like, what do you call it? You stagger it for like 0.1 second, people still have that consciousness, or no, not conscious. People would people subconsciously go in the order that you load stuff in first. And in terms of the specific effects, like if you want the effect to be bouncing, or you want it to slowly fade up cinematically, like the one that I have in this project, like the effect that I have in this project, I think that's completely up to your brand, right? But I think the neutral kind of animation style, the effect style, will be like this project that I have here. That's pretty neutral to have that cinematic and dramatic kind of feel, but at the same time not too long, right? You don't want to have like a flippin' 5-second delay on your animation, right? That's too much. A very, very light stagger of like 0.1 second helps people build that path towards what you want them to see. And another thing, I just remembered this, is that the easier it is that the easier you help your audience understand what you do, the more they trust you, the more they will stay. So I also put up another study, right? I forgot about this. So I got Claude to help me find a few studies, right? And there's these two psychologists. They did the study, and they found that when something is easier to read, it is judged as more true. So when you have that directed path, it makes it easier for them to scan through, right? It makes them easier to see, okay, this one first, that one first, that one first. Because you don't want to have like, as an audience, as a consumer, you don't want to be bombarded with things, right? And you just don't know where to look at first. So you make it easy to scan. It makes them feel like it's true. Makes them feel like what you're saying is true, and make them believe you more, right? So yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting concept that I found out about motion pretty recently, and yeah, and that's what I apply for most of my projects right now, and that's how I communicate what I do to my clients. And yeah, that's about the 4 things that I wanted to go through in this video, in this project. And let me know what you think. And yeah, thanks for watching.